In this second video of the Cryptid series, I dive into a Brazilian Sasquatch, a creature that for the longest time has been said to roam the rainforests of Brazil, an animal that has many strange features, but with a theory of a long thought to be extinct animal being behind the sightings that it could prove to be real. So let's head to South America and investigate the Mapinguari. Welcome to IF, videos on ufology, cryptozoology, and the paranormal. Hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss a video again. Let's begin with the legend. The Mapinguari, or Mapinguari, it is said, used to be human, an Amazonian shaman who through magic found the key to immortality and has wandered the thick Brazilian jungles for thousands of years. His cure for mortality was said to have angered the gods, and in this anger they punished the shaman, transforming the man into a wandering, hairy beast doomed to walk the earth for all eternity as a terrifying monster. The once man, now beast, is a creature of unusual appearance, humanoid in shape, with a mouth in the middle of its stomach. It is sometimes said to have one eye, long claws, caiman-like skin, backward feet, and a second mouth on its belly. The beast is said to emit a horrid odor, which supposedly can knock a man unconscious. This beast is also extremely difficult to kill. It is claimed to be bulletproof, with even arrows bouncing harmlessly off its thick hide. The only way it's possible to kill one is a point-blank shot to the head, but you would have to get past the knockout odor to do that. This odor is said to be very strong and unpleasant, described as a mixture of feces and rotting flesh with garlic vine and a hint of skunk. So what do descriptions say about the beast's appearance? The first stories heard from people not from Brazil, initially giving descriptions of the Mapinguari's appearance, were very vague. They said the beast was a primate, dark and thick-set and bipedal, but still very fast and agile. The traditional folkloric depiction of the Mapinguari is that of an ape or man-like creature. Could this animal be related to the wild men that are seen on almost every continent of the planet? A Brazilian Bigfoot, if you will. There have been a number of theories and ideas that have attempted to identify the mysterious cryptid. Some zoologists and cryptozoologists alike have been privy to stories about the Mapinguari that, to them at least, make it sound as if the cryptid is an animal more like a bear or a sloth rather than an unknown ape-like animal. Two names that have published on the idea of misidentification being behind the legend are Kenneth Campbell and Brad Rancy. They have theorized that a spectacled bear which seasonally traveled down from cold mountain regions to the warmer jungle during the winter months could be seen by locals who are unfamiliar with the animal and therefore think it's the cryptid of folklore. There is a big problem with this idea. Wild bears have never been recorded in Brazil. And then David Oren notes that the Peruvian Sagamai, which may be the same animal as the Mapinguari, is described by the Mapinguari people as totally different kind of animal to a bear. The idea is also shunned by eyewitnesses.
She was looking for fruit, a little bit through the trees behind us here, and she heard a noise in the bushes, and she was thinking, this doesn't sound right, this is something large, and she's on her own. She then caught sight of this thing that she said was large. It had long black hair that ran all the way down to its feet. So she ran as fast as she could back to the house to get away from this thing. She was completely petrified. This encounter all happened within about 50 feet from her house. I completely understand that when you see something as unusual as that's hairy and moving through your forests, you're going to be trying to run away from it. But can you remember seeing what its face looked like, or was it running on four legs, or was it standing? How big was this creature?
Uns 2 metros, grande, ele era muito grande.
What she remembers is that this was a tall creature. She said that it was about 7 feet almost. She wasn't able to get a really good close look at the creature's face because she was running away in fear?
Long hair.
Long.
Christina tells me the creature stood upright like a man.
E só parecia o pé dele.
Now this confirmed to her that what she had seen was in fact the Mapinguari right here in her backyard.
Naturalist Richard Rasmussen questioned one such witness who was more than certain that the animal he had seen were not bears. Another explanation offered for the creature's identity is the idea that people are seeing an upright giant anteater. Again, an idea rejected by those that have seen the mystery animal, but to further take away from this theory, people local to the area said that they are very familiar with anteaters, standing or not. Famed cryptozoologist Bernard Hovelmans, a pioneer and veteran cryptid hunter, said that the Mapinguari was most certainly not a bipedal primate like an ape. The earliest descriptions and sightings described an animal more like a primate, and according to these early stories, the animal was said to be responsible for pulling the tongues out of cattle. This leads us into the most popular theory for the creature's species. A paper published in 1993 for Goldenia Zoologia, David Oren, who I mentioned earlier, demonstrated how each of the Mapinguari's characteristics, as they were now known, were consistent with a human-sized, myelodontid ground sloth. There is some evidence that can support this idea. Nearly all the known hair samples found from a mummified ground sloth are of a reddish color. These animals were thought to have walked with their claws turned inwards, pointing back toward their hind. This would give the impression of backward-facing feet to anyone who came upon their tracks. Fossil ground sloth tracks found in the past were sometimes mistaken as giant human footprints. David Oren suggests that the more common round track attributed to the Mapinguari could be the imprint of the tip of the animal's powerful muscular tail. The Mapinguari's invulnerability also has an explanation if the creature is a ground sloth. Myelodontid's triple-layer bone ossicles covering the shoulders, back and thighs, as well as the powerful, almost fused ribcage presented in some ground sloths, being the combination of both characteristics that would explain why only a shot to the navel or face could kill a Mapinguari. David Orange went on to state that in his studies on ground sloth hyoid bones, he found that they would have been capable of loud vocalizations. This could also explain the claimed loud cries of the beast. A difference in the cryptid and sloths could be the monkey-like face. Oren put forward the idea that some species may have had such ape-like faces, this as the tree sloths of today do. When Oren proposed a myelodontid as the identity of the cryptid, he had not met with any witnesses who had claimed to have captured or killed a Mapinguari. He did speak with hunters who had claimed to see the beasts, and they gave a grounded description of an animal that resembled a sloth. They said the animal had a head like a horse and not an ape. It was bigger than a man and possessed large, hooked claws like those of the anteater. Oren added to his theory the idea that the Mapinguari could also be a megalonychid, not a megalodontid, ground sloth. This as megalonychids had frontal caniform teeth. They were a sloth with fangs and a flat-footed locomotion, this matching with sightings of the cryptid. One body part that did not match with the description was the animal's tail. Hunters did not describe a ground sloth-like thick, muscular tail. They gave the animal a rounded hind. Various creatures similar to the Mapinguari have been reported from other Amazonian nations. The most well-known of these is the Machiguanga segamai, which is described as a cow-sized animal which can walk both quadrupedally and bipedally, with dark matted fur, specifically said to resemble the fibers surrounding the leaves and stems of an Ornocoparus bantu palm, and a snout similar to a giant anteater's. It is said to live in caves and in remote cloud and foothill forests of the Villa Cambamba range, where it feeds on the plants and palm piths found locally. Locals are terrified of it due to its reportedly aggressive behavior, and it has a number of alleged characteristics in common with the Mapinguari. It is said to be impervious to bullets, has a terrible roar, and supposedly generates an odor which stupefies or knocks out anyone who comes close to it. According to witness reports, the creature walks either quadrupedally or bipedally, but the bipedal gait is often described as unsteady. Those that have seen the animal say It too is fast and agile, thought to be nocturnal and crepuscular, this meaning an animal that is active at night and the twilight hours. The Mapinguari is a herbivore, but will attack maybe in defense or if another animal strays onto its territory. This has led to the Mapinguari being blamed for the killing of vast herds of cattle by pulling out their tongues. A witness claimed to have seen a family group of the animals in the Andean foothills. They said the cryptid had a terrifying roar or bellow, along with two other distinct types of vocalization. One is a low call reminiscent of a rumble of thunder, while the other is a very loud, high-pitched cry just like a human scream. This followed with a guttural growl. The eyewitnesses mistook the cries of the animal for those of a man, saying they were wild and dismal, horrible, deafening, and inhuman. Other witnesses said that when shot, the animals produce an extraordinarily loud, human-like scream. Amazon tribes relate tales of confronting the Mapinguari. A statue depicting this fearsome creature has been erected in a remote Rio Branco, Brazil village. Giovaldo Cretinha, 27, a member of the Carentiana tribe, claims to have seen one about 3 years previous, as he was out hunting in the jungle near an area that his tribe calls the Cave of the Mapinguari. It was coming toward the village and was making a big noise, he said in a recent interview on the tribe's reservation in the western Amazon. It stopped, it got near me, and that's when the bad smell made me dizzy and tired. I fainted, and when I came to, the Mapinguari was gone. Mr. Carentiana's father, Lucas, confirmed his son's account. He said that when his son took him back to the site of the encounter, he saw a cleared pathway which the creature had departed through, as if a boulder had rolled down through, knocking down all the trees and vines. Like Sasquatch of North America or the Yeti of the Himalayan lore, the cryptid is somewhat a protector of the jungle. Often, the Mapinguari gets revenge on people who transgress, who go where they shouldn't go, or harvest more animals or plants than they can consume, or even set cruel traps. So what do you think? Is this a long-surviving ground sloth, or some type of ape-like man in the same vein as Bigfoot, or something else? Let me know in the comments below. As always, if you like what I do here on the channel, hit that red button, like and share. You can catch the latest by searching We Are If. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you next time.